Hey everybody, I'm just looking at my hair. My goodness, I need a haircut. Well, welcome back to Gal Friday Stamping. And if you're new, put a comment in the comment section so we can give you a warm welcome. I'm just jumping in. I want to make sure that the stream is okay in the group. Usually, for some reason, it's not working in the group properly. So tonight, I wanted to personally jump on and say hi and let you know that tonight's projects, we are using the counting sheep. And let me see where it is here. This cute little stamp set here. And this is in the Celebration catalog. With every $50 purchase, you can get this for free. Okay, so it is here. Let me just switch that over. And we're actually doing cards that I've never created before. We're going to do an interactive card, and we'll switch to the desk in a minute, but it has a little pull tab for the front, and then it also opens so you have an inside, and I'll show that to you when I put the other camera on. And then we're also doing a fun fold card, which opens up and actually has 3 panels. So they're both cards that I've never made before. So if I make a mistake, you'll just have to bear with me. And then just a cute little box. Now this one, I actually did put Velcro on it, but for tonight, I am not going to because it'll actually just fit right behind that little sheep and hold it closed. So let's switch cameras and I'll show you my desk and we'll get started with tonight's projects. I just want to remind you for tonight, thanks Elizabeth. Hey everybody, I just want to remind everybody if you place an order and use the host code at the bottom that's scrolling across the bottom of the screen, you'll get tonight's make and takes. I do actually have another Create With Us PDF. I did not print out the photo, but it has 15 tutorials with various projects from the Celebration, from the new mini catalog. So there's a variety of samples in there. So let me switch cameras and let's get started. Okay, there we go. All right, so can everybody hear me now? I want to make sure that just let me know in the comments. Okay, thanks, Stu. Good to see you, Stu. Okay, so let's get started. Before we do, though, for sharing my video last week, I forgot to mention, the winner of the Feels Like Home is Peggy Cashin. So congratulations, Peggy. I will get that in the mail to you tomorrow. So I think to start with, we're going to start with this cute little one here. I'm actually using Flirty Flamingo, Petal Pink, basic white, of course, and the DSP is from the Subtles. Hi, Dawn, how are you? The Subtles DSP, and actually, let me just pull out a pack. And this is also the Petal Pink. It doesn't look like it, but it is. So this card, it's a fun fold card, and it actually, like I showed you, thanks Dawn, it actually opens up into 3 panels. So it's pretty fun. Let me know how the camera reacts tonight, because it actually is a new camera. So hopefully the quality of the video is better than it's been in the past. Okay, so we're going to start with the Flirty Flamingo. Make sure my glue is here. And this is our normal card base of 5.5. Hi, Anita. How are you? Thank you so much. 5.5 by 4.25. So this is our normal card base size. And then I'm going to add a layer of the petal pink. And this is actually 4 by 5.25. And I am just going to glue this down onto the layer. Now we're working on the front first. Now this, usually I do 1/8 of an inch, but tonight we're doing 1/4 of an inch. And then I am going to lay down my layer of designer series paper. And like I said, this comes out of the Subtles designer series paper. And like I said, this is petal pink, but to me it does not look petal pink. I could be wrong. It says that's what it is, so I'm gonna go with it. Let me just pick this up so I can make sure it's on there. Okay. So far we have our 3 layers for the front. Excuse me. Then I'm using this paper from the same pack, and this is actually, I think it's 1 1/8, 1 1/4 by 3 7/8, and we're going to lay that right across the front. And then I have the DSP, and it's 1 1/8 by 3 5/8, and this is just going to go right here, and we're just going to adhere this to the front. Just as a reminder, you don't have to keep track of the sizes. I will have the PDF posted in the room, hopefully by noon. I have to get outside and take care of the weed whacking because we've had so much rain. It's been crazy. Hey, Bonnie. Hey, Dorothy. How are you? Thanks for joining us. Just as a reminder, in my group at the top in the announcements is my newest class to go. Registration closes, today's the 2nd. Registration closes tomorrow. The PDF will always be available, but the option 1 and 2, tomorrow is the last day that you can get that. Okay, so there we have that. Then I pulled the die from the Stitch So Sweetly, and this is also in petal pink. And then I also cut out the matching one that's a little smaller in the basic white. This one we're going to pop up. So let me grab some dimensionals. Don't want minis. There we go. We're going to have to open a new pack. I forgot I used them all up today. So how did everyone fare if you got that rain yesterday? I know here in Pennsylvania, we lucked out, actually. There was a little flooding in the area because we have an Amish farm right behind us, and their field, they're up higher than we are. And all the rain rushes down the fields and floods us out, floods out the road. Now I'm just going to put this on here and make sure it's centered before I push it down. Okay. So I hope everybody, New York's, I know, I was watching. Information for the bingo. It is in the group. I will actually post that to the top of the page. You need rain? We had plenty for you. I know, like you said, New York City was flooded horribly. Lots of places in Pennsylvania are flooded out. Tornadoes. It was very scary. But like I said, thankfully, we were in an area that did not get hit. So, okay, so continuing on. For this piece right here, what I'm going to do is, and we're going to hope we can do this good. You never know what's going to happen. This is the little sheep that actually looks like he's jumping. And I've seen a few people mentioning or asking why the center of the stamp is gone from this stamp. And they do this, and there's a piece of hair. They do this so when you stamp down, there's so much dead space on this stamp that it will have a tendency, and you'll notice right here on the stamp, there's some ink. It has a tendency to push down in the center, and you're going to get a big blob of ink in the center of your image. So they actually cut that rubber piece out. So we're going to grab the memento, and I'm going to stamp this little guy, and you can see him right here, right in the center of this frame. And I'm going to stand up and hope that I can get it on here like I did today. Okay, not too bad. Missed his little ear here. And then with the same stamp, what I did, and I don't even have an extra sheet of paper here, but we can use this insert. I just took the stamp and stamped a head on this side, and then his bottom on this side, and die cut it with the dies. Now with the stamp set, the Counting Sheep stamp set, the stamps are available with a $50 purchase, and then the sheep dies, they're also available for a $50 purchase. So in order to get both of them, you'd have to spend $100. Okay, just so you know. Okay, so now we got our little guy here. Let's just add a little color to his face. And I'm using Petal Pink. Let's see what I do with the other one. It's in this little box here. And I'm going to start with the dark Petal Pink. And any place that I think would have a shadow is where I'm going to add the Petal Pink. Under his mouth, near his fur. That leg is far back. So I'm just adding a little bit of color, nothing much. I just don't want them to be so stark white. Leaving a little bit of white as a highlight. And then you can even, and I did it on the other card, you can even go in and add a little bit of gray as a shadow. And I'm just doing it quickly. Okay. So there's that little guy. Now after I cut out these little guys, I'm going to pull the front back in. This one is going to go here, just like that. So it looks like it's jumping up on the card. And then this one I want to look like it's coming down. So I'm just going to add him to the card just like that. Actually, let's see if we can. I'm going to just tilt him a little bit and grab my pencil. And I'm just going to put a mark here. Let me just grab. Well, I was going to use the cutter, but I'm going to grab my scissors. And I'm just, here's my mark here. I'm just going to go from the corner straight to that mark to cut that off so he's a little bit more on an angle. And we're just going to glue him in place right here on the edge. And I'm actually lining it up with the designer series paper. And then I'm going to do the same to this little guy here. And I'm going to line it up with the designer series paper on that side. And now that he is down, I'm going to grab my dark again and add color just a little bit, just to give him a little bit of character. Go around his eye. And you don't, like I said, you don't have to be fussy. Okay, so now that that's done, we're going to take the little guy that we did in the beginning, and he is going to get glued down right here. Let's see if that's straight. Not bad. Then I'm going to pull in some pastel gems. Pull out my pokey tool. And we're going to add them to each side, just like that. And then I'm going to pull in the little frame. This frame here is also from the Stitch So Sweetly. It's the small little frame. And we are going to stamp. And we're going to keep our fingers crossed that I can stamp this straight. So glad it's your birthday. Make sure it's on here straight. Now, before I start, I'm just going to, my stamp pads are very, very juicy. So what I'm going to do is take a spoon and I'm just going to push over my ink, just like this. So all the ink is down in one spot. And then stamp my stamp, ink it up so it is not so juicy. And let's see if I can get this on here. Okay. And this piece we are also going to pop up on the front of the card. So let's pull in those dimensionals. And And I'm just going to center this right on the top. Sometimes I feel like I need a high chair so I don't have to keep standing up. Okay, so that's the front so far. Now I'm using the petal pink organdy striped ribbon. And let's just cut off a length of this. I have to admit, I did try cutting it in half to create the bow. I just didn't like the way it looked. So I decided to go with the big fat bow. And we're just gonna twirl this around. And I don't know if she's in here. Hi, Dawn. I don't know if she's in here, but I need to make a video on how to create bows. And I'm going to start over because I can't get my fingers to work tonight for some reason. It's crazy how some days I can see this ribbon is a little wide, so getting this tail through without crushing everything. What a blunder. Hold on one second. Isn't that crazy? Of all things. Okay, so we got it. So we're just going to make sure that knot is nice and tight. And I thought where this ribbon is so wide, I'm just going to cut this so it's even. Let's cut it here. And I have to be careful because my scissors are really getting dull. One more. So instead of just cutting it at an angle, I actually folded it in half and then cut off a triangle, just like that. And then do the same thing on this side. Just cut off a triangle. And then the little tails have an actual V in it. So, okay, so my pokey tool disappeared. Grab a glue dot, and we're just going to stick this right here underneath this cute little guy. And then there's the front of your card. Okay, so that's the front. Now we did the front first because we want to make sure it all lines up properly. So we're going to start again with the 5.5 by 4 for the back, 5.25, 5.5 by 4.25, and then the 5.25 by 4. And again, it's the flirty flamingo and the petal pink. And we're going to line this up. Just like that. And then we're going to pull in, this piece is 11 by 3 3/4. And it is scored at 5 and 10 inches. Okay. Get my bone folder. So we're going to just make sure we have nice crisp edges. And we folded one as a valley, one as a mountain. And while I have this out, I'm just going to lay it out nice and straight. Grab my next stamp. And I use the stamp from Biggest Wish. And on the biggest block, I line them up on the block. And we're going to go back to the Flirty Flamingo. This was the reason I squished all my ink to one side. Hey, Kathy, how are you, honey? So we're going to, let's pull that card out so you can see. We're going to put happy birthday right there at the top. So we're going to ink up this stamp. And there's so much surface to this stamp that you don't want it to be too inky. Make sure I got it in the center. And that doesn't look too bad. I'm going to pull my scrap paper back in. And we're actually going to close up the Flirty Flamingo. Pull the memento back in. I'm just going to ink up the head section. And we're going to add this little one right here. And then for the bottom of the card, let me just switch out stamps. I grabbed, oops, that doesn't go there. I grabbed the grass that's included in this stamp set and some old olive. And all I'm going to do is put a line of grass right along the bottom of the card, just so it's not so stark white inside. Okay? So now that we have this little insert done, we're going to pull in the back of our card. Make sure this is dry. And this is the bottom. So we're going to add glue to the piece opposite the 1-inch score mark. Okay. And we're going to add this to the back of the card. Make sure it's on here straight, which it isn't. So you just want to center this, just like we were putting the layer of the middle of our regular size card. Rub it from the back in case the ink's not dry. Okay, so now here we have our happy birthday and the back piece of our card. You're going to close it up. This piece gets folded in the opposite direction. Make sure it's on there and nice and crisp. And then we're going to add our glue to this little 1-inch section. Grab the front of our card, and the best way to do it is to hold it down on your table and then lift the card up. Make sure it is straight on all sides. That's why you want to use your glue, because it gives you a little bit of extra time to move that around. And then now, when you open up your card, you have your top and your bottom. So there is Fun Folds card number 1. Cute, right? Hi Karen, thank you. Believe it or not, these are not from Casey. These are a different brand. As soon as these are finished, I am going to pull in a new set that I got from Casey. I purchased a few from her, so I can't wait to use them because they're really nice. Hey, hi Amanda. Hello, Matthew. Aren't they cute? Whose birthday's coming up in your house, Matt? I'll send you one. Okay, so card number 2. This one is the pull tab card. Now I have to admit, if you look at this card closely, you'll notice that you can see the frame from underneath, which you should not be able to do. So for tonight, I did adjust it so you can't see it. But this one, again, it has a little pull tab with with your sentiment on the inside, and then it also does open up so you can write a message. Hi, Maggie. How are you, honey? Hello, Susan. Thank you. Hi, Diane. Yes, I did. Okay, so let's get started with this card. Pull out all my stuff here. Now we're going to start with our normal card base, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And like I said, I will have a PDF in the room tomorrow by 12. So we're going to just put that aside for a second. Now the piece for the pull tab is 2 by 6. Now I wrote it down here so I can remember. But I'm going to quick pull in my scoreboard. And for this piece, let me just get my stylus. We're going to actually score this one at 1 7/8, and then 2 1/4. Instead of a 1/2 inch here, I gave it a little bit less space. So I'm hoping this still works. So now that we have our score lines, let's just fold these over, just like that. So it's going to be this way. Then I pulled out my tag punch, and we're going to just insert this in here. And it's just a little bit wider, so I'm just going to turn it over to make sure it gets in there straight. That's good. And we're going to punch the end. So then we have our little pull tab. Okay. These frames in the Flirty Flamingo and the Basic White are from, let me just pull them out, the Scalloped Contour dies. And I used the large, and then the next one down, and then that same size for the back, and the next size down. So we have 2 sets of frames. We are going to grab another layer of Petal Pink, and this is 3 3/4 by 5. Now this layer we're actually going to adhere to the front of the card. So we can get that down on the front of the card. And again, this is 1/4 inch difference. Let's make sure it's on here straight. And then I have a sheet piece of the DSP. Hello, Facebook user. Oh, is she taking care of your horses? Awesome. And this piece, let's see what size it is. 3 5/8 by 4 7/8. So for this piece, I pulled out, now this is no longer available, but this is the classic label punch, I believe it's called. And we're going to insert the DSP as far as it will go. And we want to make sure that it is centered or even space on either side. So you have an idea. You just want to eyeball it. You can be crazy and measure it, but just eyeball, making sure that it looks like it's about the same. And then we're just going to punch out that center. Okay. Now let's pull in the center frame. And in there, I used Memento. Let's pull the Memento in. And I used the stamp, You're Amazing. So I'm just going to make sure that's on there straight. That's not to say that it's going to get stamped straight, but at least it's on the block straight, right? And I'm just going to stamp this right in the center. Not bad. And for this piece, we're just going to adhere it to the frame that's just a little bit bigger. Making sure it's centered. Just like that. Now for the outside piece, I'm going to grab that old olive again. And I'm going to just place some grass along the bottom of this frame. And I already did stamp and die cut the little lamb. Mary had one. The little sheep. And we're going to add some more color. Get his little ear. Add some color wherever. That's the dark. So it's any place I would think there'd be a shadow. And then we're just going to extend this line out just a little. And for this little guy, I wanted to add a little bit extra because he was carrying these balloons. Oh, look at that. I forgot that one little ear in the back. Let's just add some color in there. And I'm just going to add some more shadow. And that one's the dark. Let's grab the light one. And again, all I do is add a little darkness where I think there would be a shadow, okay? Pull in our frame. The basic white is going to be adhered. Now you want to make sure that you can do this with squares. You can do it with ovals. You just have to make sure that it covers completely, okay? That's really all you want to make sure it does. Now in the dies for these little guys, there's these sweet little balloons. And all I'm going to do, just going to sit him here in the center. We're going to add these balloons. And I just sat him there so I can get an idea where these strings need to be. Let's scoot that over a little. There we go. That's better. And then this one will add on, and I'm not doing the string, but we're going to add this one a little bit higher. And then we're going to take this little guy and just pop him right up. Aw, thanks, Amanda. It takes practice, but okay, so now we have our little frames done. Let's pull in our little pull piece, okay? Now, this first section here, we're going to lay it flat. So here's our score line. This section here is where the smaller of the frames is going to go, and you're going to put it right up against the score line. You don't want to go over the score line, but you want it just touching that score line. So let's add our glue to this piece here. And like I said, it's that little square piece, that first square piece. Now I'm just going to lay it down here, making sure it's centered. Open it up so you can see, here it is right here, just that one little piece. Now we have the smaller scored area, and we're going to pull in our tear and tape. Let me get my cap, my really expensive tear and tape cutter, and we're going to lay a piece of tear and tape right in that section. Okay, now there is a little bit left over there, so what I'm going to do, get my pokey tool, make sure that's down. I'm also going to take some glue, and I'm going to add some glue right here to the edge where the tear and tape is not all the way to. Take our second frame, and you want to line this edge up with the end of this piece. And again, you want to make sure it's centered. And that looks good. So we'll open it up, and we'll just make sure that this is down really good. So now you see, like I showed you on this card, you can just see that frame on the back. This one, you can't see the frame at all. So that little bit of adjustment I made did the trick. So I'm just going to add my gem here. Piece of cat hair. You can tell Iggy was up here. Okay. So let's pull in our designer series paper. And you're going to take the tab, the end of the tag, and you're going to put it through from the front to the back, just like that. And we want to make sure that this is centered. And we are going to add glue. Let me just make sure. I'm going to see where I want to add my glue. We want to just add glue here and here. I'm actually going to put some right across there. And again, we want to make sure this is centered on the card. Just like that. Let's just make sure it's going to pull, and it does. And we'll just, nope, it's shifted a little. Okay, we're going to let that dry for a second. But in the meantime, I'll turn it over. And now we're going to add our dimensionals. You want to put this up on dimensionals so your tab, or tag, I should say, has room to move back and forth. Now, unfortunately, you have to put quite a few to keep it in place. If you have strips, thank you, thank you. Hi, Casey. How are you, honey? So we're just going to take off all these little papers. After tonight, my goodness, these papers are going to be all over the house. Do you guys find these little papers around the house when you use them? They stick to everything. Okay, so now we're going to just put this on the front of the card. Okay, so see, let's grab a piece of ribbon. I'm going to make sure I cut a big enough piece. I had so much trouble putting my ribbon in today. And let's see which way we want to do this. We're going to go in from the back. This ribbon is a little wider, so getting it through this hole was a challenge today. Oh, there we go. And then you're just going to put it through this loop. Then this way the nice piece is in the front of the card. And you just want to make sure you get these pulled without ruining that top of that tag. And then you have your little flippy card. I'm just going to add a pastel gem on the top left and the bottom right. And there is the front of our card. Now for the inside of the card, I have my petal pink. Now these two layers are the same size as the front layers. And then I just grabbed a piece of DSP and I'm just going to run some glue just to pull in some of the DSP from the front. And I'm just going to lay it here. And I didn't get it down to the bottom. Let's see if I can scooch it down. And trim this off. And I also, let's grab this sheet of paper. And we're going to grab this same little, that same little sheep. And this time I'm going to tilt him a little bit more because you'll notice his little head got cut off. So let me just tilt it a little bit better here. That's better. Looks like ta-da! And I left him completely white. Get rid of that. Pull our petal pink back in and add some glue. And then we can adhere this to the center of the card, and card number 2 is done. Okay. So tell me, hey Mary. Oh, that's fine, Mary. It'll be there. There's so many places you can catch it. Okay, so there is card number 2. Not too shabby, huh? I just love these little guys. So we'll put those 2 aside. Thank you. And now we're going to pull in the little box. Like I said, I added Velcro to this one, and then after I was done, I said, that was crazy. This little guy can hold it into place. And this is so quick and easy for a quick little box that you need. Let's see, it measures 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. So I'm thinking like a box of certs, the round ones would fit in here. And it's 3/4 of an inch deep. So it's just a cute little size. So we're going to start out with Petal Pink again. And this is actually 7 1/4 by 3 1/2. And it's scored at 3/4, 3 1/2, 4 1/4, and 7 on the long side. And then I turned it and scored it at 3/4. Okay. So now we're just going to fold and burnish. And this is the little tab that we're going to keep the close the side. And fold up the bottom. And these are going to be our tabs. So we're just going to angle this corner and angle this corner, because this is how we're going to close our box. And this one we're going to cut completely out. These are the flaps to the bottom of the box. Now I like to cut the hump of the scoring out, and then just miter cut it so it looks like a little tab. So here I would go on the right hand side of that bump and then miter it. Okay. This tab here, I'd go to the left of that bump, and then this one I would do the same thing. I would miter here and here. Get rid of those papers. Let's grab our tearing tape. Elizabeth, hey baby girl. Dove chocolates would fit. Yes, they would. Yummy, yum. Elizabeth, are you still in here? Did you get my link that I sent you for the tearing tape? Okay, so this is 1/4 of an inch, and it's my tearing tape is just a tad wider, but that's okay. I'll just flip it over. Let's get my tearing tape tearer. Now what I do to create, let's get this paper off. Let me just cut off that end. Now it's going to be on my scissors. And I'm just going to get that edge and just twirl them up. And if you fold it at that score line, so here's the 2 3/4, if you fold it down and then take your end piece and fold it over, it's in the right position for you to create your box. Okay? So now that this is closed up. Let's see where the closure is. I don't even see it. Here it is. So here's the closure right here. So we want this to be the back of the box. So this is the back. So I would push in my tabs. I would put the back tab in first, and then the front tab would be the last tab down. This way, the front of the box is nice and finished. You can use tear and tape for this. Okay, just make sure it is squared off. You want to make sure it is down really well. You can just push down on the inside. And then there's our little box. Then I took a piece of the Flirty Flamingo again. 2 and 3. Nope, it's not 2 3/4. It is, yes it is. It's 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. Then I took the scallop, whoops, from the scallop contour dies. This one here. And I just lined it up with the edge of the scallop to the edge of my paper and die cut that out. Then I took a piece of the Designer Series paper, 2 5/8 by 2 5/8, and I actually took this die and taped it down to the plate. So once I cut this one and it was taped down, I removed this, eyeballed where each end was, and then I added my DSP into the same section, eyeballing from this mountain and this mountain to the edge of the paper. So I got I eyeballed it to get a fair idea where I needed to cut my scallops. Okay. Now we're going to make sure we got the right sides forward. We're going to pull in the scoreboard. Now we know our box is 3/4 of an inch deep. This is going to be the top of the box piece. We don't want to use a pokey tool. I don't even know what I did with it. So we're going to score at 1/2 inch. And then we need 3/4 of an inch for the width or the depth of the box. So 1, 2, 1 1/4. So 1/2 and 1 1/4. And let's just fold this up. Fold and burnish nicely. Oh, good. I'm glad to see you, Elizabeth. I hope you're catching up with our with our album. How are you doing on that? I still have work to do before Saturday. Okay, so now I'm taking the Designer Series paper, and I can see where I want to make sure this is on here pretty straight. And I can see where my score line is. I'm just going to take a pencil and come down about 1/8 of an inch and make a mark. I'm going to pull in my little cutter and I'm going to cut the top piece off. Let's make sure, let's do it this way. This way it has a little bit more to grab onto. Because I only want this little front piece here to have the Designer Series paper. So we're just going to you would think that it's warm in here tonight. This glue would be flowing freely, and it is not. Okay, so we're just going to add this to the top. Let's make sure it's straight. And I am going to actually add some tear and tape. So this way it is nice and secure. Just remove this paper. Now you do know that if you add tear and tape, you know how you have to be very exact when you add tear and tape? Well, if you add some glue to the top of your tear and tape, it will give you, let's make sure we got it'll give you a couple of seconds, just like if it was glue, to move this around. I just want to make sure we got this on straight. And that looks pretty good. And then if you press this down between the glue and that tear and tape, you'll have a really nice seal on the back of that box. Okay? Now for this little guy, I actually used the fence. This little fence comes in the die set also. I just wanted to add a little something to the front of this box. So we're going to just glue it, and it fits perfectly from edge to edge. Just glue that down. I didn't really add a lot of glue to that. And then let's pull in our little guy again. Get our little sheep. I'm going to do a little coloring again. Just add some color. Get that little ear. I should have done a little black sheep for all those who were the black sheep of the family. That's none of us here, right? All right, now we're going to add a little bit of color. Get some shadow going here. Do it here. That's the darker of the gray granite. And then this is the lighter of the gray granite. Just extending that out a little bit. Add into that fur. If you wanted, you could add a little wink of Stella to this. I forgot his other. Now this time I remembered the ear in the back. This time I forgot the ear in the front. Okay, and we're going to pop this little one right onto the front of the box. Yeah, aren't they cute? Just as a reminder, if you place an order of $35 using the host code that's going down on the bottom of your screen, you can find my store at that website. I will send you these make and takes. You'll also receive a 87-page tutorial with 15 projects from the new mini catalog from the Create With Us team I'm on. And that you'll get in your email. Okay, we got to pull out the You're Amazing. But I want to use the Flirty Flamingo. So let me just clean this stamp off really quick. You don't want muddy with Flirty Flamingo. That looks good. get the Flirty Flamingo, and we are going to stamp You're Amazing on here. And again, let's hope. I'm telling you, tonight's a good night when it comes to stamping for me. Now, this little bow came from the Trimmings and Tidings. Let me get it right. I pulled it out. The Christmas Trimmings dies that goes to the Tidings and Trimmings stamp set. That's where this little bow comes from. And I'm just going to take a glue dot and we're going to stick this little bow right here on this frame. We're going to grab another little gem and let's pop this up onto the front of this little box. Let's see if I can't get some things moved over here. Now, like I said, very easily, maybe not so easy. If there was something in it, it would be easier. But it just slips right under his head. You want to make sure, though, which I didn't, that you put your dimensional on further down on his body. I'm going to have to pop him off and fix him. And we're just going to stick this just like that. Let me see if I can't pull that up. I don't want to ruin the box. Yeah, it's going to rip. But when you put your dimensionals on your sheep, make sure that you put it down far enough that you can tuck this in further, because you notice it's off just a little bit. Okay, so here are tonight's cards that are available for you for free with a $35 order. Now, if you were to place a $50 order, you'd be able to get either the sheep dies or the sheep stamps. So, here you go. Pretty in pink. All pink today. So I hope you liked tonight's projects. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Yes, they would be perfect teacher's gifts. Most definitely. Because you could put just a cute little something in it. And it doesn't have to be sheep. You can create any little image. So thank you. Thanks, Elizabeth. Thanks, everybody, for joining. I hope you had a great evening. If you're interested, Saturday I hold a photo album class. And let me just move these out of the way for a second. Here is what we've been creating. This is actually the insert for our binder. And it is an interactive photo album. This is actually a pocket. I haven't finished this yet, or this. And then you can open it up and you have lots of space for photos. This piece comes down and then there's waterfalls. It opens and there's places for more photos. This is a pocket. On this side over here, we have some more photo spots for photos. And then if we pull it up this way, here's another photo album on the bottom. So this past Saturday, as we're still trying to finish decorating this piece, we started on our second, the other side of the inserts. So if you'd be interested, do you yes. For send me a thank you, Matt. Elizabeth, send me a message of what dimensions you need, and I'll just tag you. I think I have them. If not, I'll quick go over them and let you know. So have a great night, and I'll see everybody on Saturday if you're interested. I'll be in the Gal Friday stamping. You're welcome, honey. And the PDF for tonight's projects will also be in the room. Have a great night, and I'll talk to everybody soon. Bye-bye.